Hey moviegoers, let's talk The Mist. This movie was directed by Frank Darabont and it stars Thomas Jane.
After a huge storm that knocks out power to this whole town, David Drayton, played by Thomas Jane, and his son travel to the local grocery store to gather some supplies for the time while the power's out. And as they're driving there, they see that this mist is coming down from the mountains, and we find out later that there's creatures in the mist, and they get trapped in this grocery store and they have to fight to survive. So Karen, what did you think of this movie? Honestly,
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I thought it was very underdeveloped a lot. And even with the surprise, shocking ending, it wasn't worth it to me. I mean, if you're going to see it for the shock and awe value, or just because people have been talking about it since it came out a few years ago, it might be okay, worth seeing. But I honestly wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah. There's a lot going against this movie, more than going for it. Just a quick overview of what I hated about this movie. The acting is terrible. The CGI is terrible. The script is terrible. And the ending is the only good part about it, and it's not even that good. Everybody jumps to conclusions in this movie, and then at the same time, nobody comes to a conclusion at the same time. It's the most frustrating movie. The characters are so one-dimensional that there's no development, and characters change their opinions at the drop of a hat, and it's really annoying to me.
And I think part of it is because there are some stories that should not be made for the screen, I feel. I think that this story is only developed properly through the written word, where you can it explicitly tells you the motivations behind characters' actions. This movie, the characters are going against their characters the entire time. They're flip-flopping on themselves. One minute they're fighting for justice, and they're fighting, we have to fight to survive, and then the next minute it's like, okay, I give up, let's just go out. Yeah. Like, Thomas Jane's character is like, no, we can't go outside, we have to stay in here, and then all of a sudden he's like, now we have to go outside.
We have to go to the pharmacy next door.
We have to go to the pharmacy next door, and it's like, his fatherliness changes from time to time. At first, his motivation is all about his son, and then he doesn't interact with his son hardly at all during the grocery store at all.
No, he just kind of
hugs him, lets him go. Hey, can you watch my kid for a minute while I go take care of the situation that only I can handle because I'm the main character? And then it just kind of, there is no real depth to him. The monster part was kind of just, no person in even human nature would react this way to any of the events that happen in this movie.
Yeah.
You wouldn't react that way when this tentacled creature is coming at you. Not that I have any experience to go off of. I've never been attacked by a tentacled creature, but hypothetically, in that situation, I wouldn't calmly grab the boy who's being attacked by it
and then calmly ask for help.
Hey, can somebody help me out? You'd be screaming your head off.
Yeah.
You'd be screaming for help. And I'm pretty sure that any other person, whether they're stupid, smart, compassionate, hard-headed, is going to help. Or they're going to run the opposite way and leave you both to the... Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just felt like there was no basis for any action in this movie whatsoever.
No. So let's go back to the beginning, because there are a lot of things that just drive me absolutely nuts about this movie. The beginning, where the storm knocks a tree down onto their house, the tree doesn't fall onto the house, it stabs the house. Then after that, they wake up and they're looking at all the damage, and they're looking out over the mountains, and they see this fog coming down. And the kid or the wife asks, "What's that?" And he's like, "I don't know, mist." Nobody would ever call it mist. It's fog. It's like a cloud coming down. Mist is like a rain. Fog is thick, and you can't see through it. That was fog. That's just something that I have a preference for. And then the conversation between Thomas Jane and the neighbor, just, it's so awkward. It's just poorly written, poorly acted, just bad all the way through. And they go to the store and all this stuff is going on. And then we meet the religious nut and the fog mist comes in. And then we get Melissa McBride, who is great in The Walking Dead as Carol. I didn't think she was very good in this.
I thought she was the best one.
Yeah, I guess she was. But she still wasn't even that good. And I hate the writing at that scene where she's like, will anybody see a lady home? And she's like, you. She says it like 4 or 5 times, and it's really annoying. And then she leaves. And, I mean, later we find out that she's pretty much the only one that made it. Because she went out to go get her kids.
Lesson learned, stick with Carol.
Yeah, exactly. She's going to get you through the apocalypse, whether it's zombies or monsters and the mist/fog.
So one of the things I think the movie had going for it a little bit was the expectation and the anticipation that something was going to get better.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole thing, I kept going, okay, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. There was suspense in there, like, what is about to pop out? Mm-hmm. There was this unpredictability that I kind of enjoyed about it. But even with that, it was very disappointing and, like I said, underdeveloped, because it was like, kept waiting and waiting for something realistic to happen, for somebody to react in a certain way that it was realistic, and then to have it never, ever come, and then just to have the movie end with this miracle with the military coming and burning the fog.
Yeah. Well, they were burning the monsters. And
I don't know how the fog
dissipated.
lifted. I didn't understand how the fog lifted. I don't know where it came from, and I guess it doesn't really have to be explained. But it was very ridiculous, and I kept going, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's all I get? Yeah. I was waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and this is what you give me? I felt very dissatisfied. Yeah. Even with the shock and awe.
Well, the fact that they had been fighting for so long to stay alive, and then...
But it wasn't even that long. It was a day.
Right. Well, it was like a day or two. But still, we don't know how long they were driving. I mean, they were only on 1 tank of gas. For them to just give up after 10, 15 seconds after running out of gas and just be like, well, we got 4 bullets left. There's no use in running because there's mist everywhere. Let's just shoot ourselves. One of them being his kid. Why wouldn't you just fight to stay alive just a little bit longer? At least try. Instead, they just give up. And it's so disappointing because of how much they've invested into getting out of the grocery store and to get as far as they did, and then just to call it quits.
Yeah. I didn't think they ever got to the point of desperation like that.
They didn't.
It was maybe, they were trapped in the store for maybe 3 days at most.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, so many things happened in 3 days, and I understand that that's a stressful situation. You don't know whether these monsters are going to come in or not. But there's also so much you can do with that. Mm-hmm. And there's so much things you can do to drive those characters to the point of that desperation, in which case that ending would have totally been worth it, even how terrible it is. Yeah. And it still was very much just very disappointing. Mm-hmm. And with that, at the end, I ended up, to be completely honest, I ended up not even caring that they were killing. Like, I just I didn't care.
So back to the part where after the kid gets taken by the tentacle monster, and Thomas Jane and the others are trying to figure out whether they should tell everyone or not. And they decide to tell Thomas Jane's neighbor. And he doesn't believe them. And even though they say that the kid got killed, and there's part of the tentacle in the back, he's like, no, you guys are crazy. Why wouldn't you at least go back there and look? It drives me nuts. He jumps to a conclusion like, no, you're lying. I don't trust you.
And again, that has to do with backstory that wasn't developed properly. The only thing I can say good about any of the characters is Toby Jones' character as the store clerk, who seems to get down to business, and he's the peacemaker, and he's trying to do the right thing, and he's the one that ends up shooting the religious nut in the head because she needed to die.
Yes, she was the antagonist of the film.
Yeah, and I
monsters.
thought she played it pretty well, but again, I don't appreciate the fact that it's a religious nut.
Yeah.
Because that always seems to be it's a cop out. It's like, I don't know what else to do with the story, so I'm just going to put a religious nut in here to be the one who, again, is antagonizing everybody, all the characters. But
saying, this is because of your sin.
Yes.
This is God's judgment on us, and we're all going to die.
It just makes it really, like, it makes me uncomfortable,
Yeah.
to be honest. I would have thought he would have been the main character. Because he seems to be the hero in the whole thing.
He's the most level-headed person in the whole movie.
Thomas Jane's character is like, yeah, it's about him at the beginning, but he's not necessarily the hero of the story. And maybe that's what their intention was, because everyone seems to go to him. He's the natural-born leader, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be the hero of the story.
He can't cry, and it kind of bothers me, because that was kind of a pivotal moment at the end when he's supposed to be conveying this deep emotion of sadness because he just killed his child and all three of these other people, and he has to live on with the idea of being killed by these monsters in the mist. And it reminded me of Tropic Thunder at the beginning when Ben Stiller's character is trying to cry and he just can't get the tears, and they're all getting after him. That's what it reminded me of, because Thomas Jane could not get those tears to come. He's screaming and screaming, but his eyes are like not producing tears, and it was uncomfortable to watch, because at one point you could see his eyes kind of darting back and forth, like he was unsure of his acting abilities in the car right before he starts to try and shoot himself with the empty revolver. But that part it was uncomfortable. So if it's not obvious enough, neither of us really liked this movie, and to come from the same director who did The Green Mile and The Shawshank Redemption, this movie just is a stain on his record. And I give The Mist a D, and there's just so much wrong with this movie that however good of an ending it has is not enough to redeem it. And the ending's just okay, but again, it's just not enough to redeem it.
I give The Mist a D-. There's just so many things wrong with this movie. There's the acting, every single facet had something wrong with it, and there was hardly any redeeming qualities about it. The one good thing I can say is Greg Nicotero, because all the other special effects, the computer animation was not good, even for 2007. It was not good. The one part that was, I think, a practical effect was when one of the store clerks got stung by the bee creature and her face started swelling up, and that's how she died. That is the one good part. That was disgusting, and I was very sad when she was killed off by that. But other than that, not too many things going for it at all.
So what did you guys think of The Mist? Did you like it, love it, or hate it? Let us know in the comments section below.
And if you like this video and want to check out more movie reviews, you can click right here.
Or you can click right here and check out some of our trailer breakdowns.
Be sure to subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.